In this video, I want to talk about the 10 disciplines of a worldview in no particular order. These are things that, based off of those core beliefs that we talked about in the previous video with the inner circles, I'm going to draw a picture that looks like this with those concentric circles. I'm going to draw the biblical worldview here that has God, man, and nature, with man as being special because Genesis tells us that we're made in the image of God, unlike any other creature, that man actually was formed, not just spoken into existence, but formed from the dust of the ground, that God um, breathed his spirit, his life into us, and he made us in his image, that man is special in that way. Try to draw this as symmetric as I can. All right, something like that. So there's 5 on each side here. Um, and again, order doesn't matter at all, but coming off of those central beliefs, we already talked about the question of biology, which is your question of origins that you need to answer. And usually people are willing to talk to you about that. We already talked about the um, question of law, kind of, about morality. There's moral law, there's natural law, there's all different types of law. They all fall into this belief system of law. Uh, we've talked a little bit about theology already, with what you believe about God. Does God exist? Is he active in the world today? What kind of God do you believe in? Do you believe in a pantheon of gods? Do you have a monotheistic view of God? Again, that's sometimes something that you can get people to talk about, not just about their view of God, but their view of the scriptures, and does the Bible actually apply to us today? Um, was it divinely inspired? Are there other divinely inspired books? Do we have inspiration um, in other places, or is inspiration, like it's talked about in the Bible, something unique? All those things are theological things that you might just, roughly, most people are just going to call this religion, even though that's not really the same thing. But they're going to, when they talk about topics of theology, they're going to say they're talking about religion, um, is typically how the world's going to refer to that. You talked about the nature of truth already. Is it knowable? Um, and has we talked about laws of logic already? So logic falls into this, with truth being knowable. Things have to be true or false. Things have to be what they are. Um, those types of things. That kind of also falls into this um, area of law here as well, because there's the laws of logic that can't be broken. Let's see, what other one is good to put on that side? Um, Probably ethics is a good one to put over here. What we ought to do, how we ought to live. So this answers that question of how shall we live. So these are kind of the big questions um, that we talked about, the big 5 already, but there's some other issues here, psychology. And that has to do with the issues of like mental illness, and what do you believe about sin, and personal development mentally and socially, and all those types of things. But this is a personal thing as opposed to sociology, which kind of looks at the group culture, and um, less at the individual. Um, they're separate and they're both important, and they have different things that you're going to be believing based off of what you believe in here. How much is society responsible for what's going wrong? How much is the individual responsible for what goes wrong? There's some truth in both of those things. History is going to be something important to study, what people believe about history. Economics, what you should do with your money. And then politics is another one here, where the source of power comes from to rule over people, how that power should be used, all those types of things. So there's also, in this area of law here, there's this idea of what I will call physical laws, and there's also moral laws, and we already talked about logic and reasoning. There's all different types of law that we're going to talk about there, physical or natural law, and so many other things. So anyways, I tried to put on one side here the things that the 5 questions answer. On the other side, I tried to put some applications to those things. But when you get answers to these 10 things, these 10 disciplines, you get a really good picture of somebody's belief system, and what they believe about these 10 things on the outside can really give you a good idea of what's going on the inside there, about what they believe about God, man, and nature, as they're less likely to give you very direct answers from the start about what they believe about these things. And also there's a test here about how they apply what they say they believe about these core things to these 10 areas on the outside. Are they being consistent or inconsistent in their belief system with the applications of how they live that out? All right. That's it for this video. And we'll come back and start talking more specifically about some of these 10 things in future videos. But for now, that's the end of the introductory upfront material. As we've talked about the laws of logic, the 5 questions that the worldview has to answer, and the different types of worldviews that you may encounter, and the 10 disciplines of the worldview that you're going to form beliefs of all these 10 topics based off of what you believe about God, man, and nature. All right. Hope to have many more topics and short videos like this in the future on these things. If you have questions about a specific area or discipline or question or something like that, you can look to see if I've already written a faith and culture blog at danielwestfall.com. I have written on many of these topics already, and have things sorted in my faith and culture blogs according to these different areas. But you can also ask me if you would like me to make a video on something, and I will try and make that as soon as possible. All right, see you next time.